Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I'm trying to catch the last vestiges of autumn. I'm not sure I'm going to get what I came here for. I'm at the Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge next to the Kennedy Airport here in Queens, and I was hoping to get a bit cloudier weather like it had been proposed, but that didn't work out, so I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to go back to a site that I had shot a couple of months ago that I thought might look good in autumn color, and I think the autumn color should still be there. So let me get my camera bag and my tripod and we can get started. Sorry about that. So first of all, I want to apologize for the road noise. The spot where I'm going is right next to a major thoroughfare, and of course I have that road to my left and the airport to my right, and the occasional A train on the subway that runs right across the pond. That's also to my right. So it's a bit of noise. Sorry about that. I was hoping for a cloudy day today, but you can't get too choosy this time of year because you only have a couple more days when there's any kind of color at all. And the part of the path I'm heading right now has some birch trees that I spotted before. And as I'm approaching them, I may have missed my shot, but I'm going to make the best of it anyway. Basically, the leaves are already mostly gone. This is the grove I was talking about right here. And I had shot from the other side when everything was green. I figured, well, this foliage is going to be yellow when I come back, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get here a week or two ago when the color was probably peak, and now it's obviously well past peak, but I'm going to make the best of it because I think just the lines of the trees themselves will make some interesting shots. So I'm going to walk around a little bit, see what I can line up, and do what I can with what I have. All right, I think I found my composition. Basically, I've come in kind of close because, as you saw when I was approaching the scene, it's basically very chaotic. Behind the trees, there's a lot of loose bramble, and with not much color there, it's kind of messy. So I've decided to come in close and really just focus on the trees in front of me. So let me show you what I'm looking at. Basically, we have these three really prominent trunks. This one here, and those two there, and the others are kind of just a kind of support. So it's really going to be probably a square composition, I'm thinking. I might even make it monochrome, although depending on how the color works out, I'll see. I mean, there is some color behind the trees, and in processing I might be able to get something more out of it, but I'm not really sure. But I do like the lines formed by the trees. I like the backlighting of the birches, and I think it's really more about, I guess, in terms of light versus luminosity and color. I mean, there's not much atmosphere, but certainly there's a lot of contrast, more than color. So I think that's what this composition is going to make or break. I'm going to not focus stack. I'm going to do an exposure stack because you can also see this, because there's so much contrast, any one exposure might either crush the shadows or really blow out the highlights. So I'm probably going to take a 5 bracket exposure set and then blend them in post and see what I get. So I've got my camera set up for a 5 exposure bracket, basically going from 2 stops under to 2 stops over. But the base settings are f/16, 1/4 of a second, and ISO 100. I'm focused on the center tree in the composition. There is a lot of contrast here, but as the sun is going down, the contrast is starting to drop a little less. In fact, the sun is going down so quickly that I may have to just hurry up and just take this and stop talking. So let me trigger it right now with my 10-second timer, which I didn't change from 2.5 to 2.5. All right, I think that's going to bring a good range. In fact, there's enough color in the scene that I think I can work a certain amount of it back into the composition in post. But really, this is really going to be about luminosity and contrast rather than color. And I'm going to take a few more because there are falling leaves. I want to make sure that I have enough images to choose from before giving you my final image. But what I do get, you're going to see right here. I think that worked out actually fairly well. So I'm going to move on to the other side of the highway there and see what else I can find. There's a trail that goes along the highway that I think might lend itself to some decent woodland shots. And then as the trail bends around the pond, there might be some migratory waterfowl around there, because usually this time of year the snow geese show up from up north, and there may be some other things. So we'll see what I get. But my focus today is on woodland. And at this point, I've only got about 2 hours before sunset, so I guess I better get going. All right, I think I've got my second composition, and the light's not going to last long, so I'm going to talk very quickly. Basically, you see these 3 cherry trees, this one and the 2 that are kind of lined up behind it. I love the texture of the bark and the backlit foliage, which is getting increasingly sidelit as the sun is rapidly moving. We're now about an hour and a half away from sunset, so I'm going to hurry up, set up the camera, give you my settings, and get that shot before I can't. All right, I've already taken several sets of exposures, and I'm going to take a couple more while I'm talking, because I'm losing the light very rapidly. Basically, the first time I set up the shots, I was at ISO 100 and using a shutter speed of about 1/15th of a second. But in fact, the breeze is moving the leaves around quite a bit, and that's really not going to work. I really want to have the leaves as sharp as possible. But so what I've done is I moved up to ISO 400. I might even go up to 800 to get a shutter speed faster than 1/80th of a second at f5. And that's going to have the back tree, the one with that's going to have the back tree fairly blurred out. And I'm probably going to go take another one right here. Again, 5 exposures. I'm going to stop down now to f9. Slow my shutter speed down to about 1/13th of a second, 1/20th of a second. Still fairly fast. Same focus point. And that's going to have more of the trees in focus as I'm just checking my depth of field preview. Yeah, that's actually pretty good, but I think I'm going to take, whoops, didn't turn my phone notification off, sorry about that. I'm going to take one more set at f14 and slow my shutter speed down to 1/13th of a second. Now this is going to have the leaves blurred, but on the other hand, that might not be a bad effect either. In fact, just for experimentation's sake, I think I want to move my ISO back down to about 100, slow my shutter speed way down, and see what kind of effect I get with the leaves blowing around. Because traditionally, of course, you want to have the leaves sharp and focus, but sometimes I like to go for the impressionist effect, and that's going to have, I'll have more of that with the leaves blurred. So we'll see what I get, and whatever the final result is or are, if I get more than one, I'll share more than one. You'll see it right now. is going to be my last composition of the day. In fact, I've already taken it because the sun is very rapidly going down. And while I was looking for one more thing to shoot, I happened to look down and saw these leaves, these cherry tree leaves. There's a cherry tree right over here, and the leaves are falling down. They've nicely backlit against the, against the setting sun, which is directly in front of me. And we have the bluish gravel and stones on the path here. So I think they made a nice contrast. So basically what I've done, I'm using the automated focus bracketing on this camera again, focusing right about here, the very front of the frame, and then took a series of bracketed shots from front to back to try and get the whole thing in focus. So the settings for the shots I took were at f13, 1/4 of a second at ISO 100. And as I said, I took 20 shots, probably maybe about the first 10 going from front to back will be the ones that I actually wound up using in the bracketed composition. I'll put them together in Photoshop, and you're going to see the final result right after this. Well, the sun is just about gone, so I'm going to make this an episode. I might take one more shot as I'm getting out of here if I see anything that catches my eye. But in any case, I hope you've liked what you've seen up to this point. And if you want to see more and you're not already subscribed, please give me a subscription and hit that notification bell that's right down here so you'll see the next time I upload content. Any interaction that I have with you in terms of comments and likes and such will really help the channel grow and will help tell YouTube that my channel is interesting and that more people should get a chance to see it. So until the next time, thanks again, and bye for now. When I returned to the car, I used a different trail than the one I used when I entered this part of the park. I wish I'd seen it earlier when light was better. As it was, the sun was setting and the scene was rapidly darkening. I had just enough light to capture 6 images for a panorama, and just enough processing skill to render a decent final image.